And we are going to begin tonight with Lee Deutsch. And Lee is known as our local weatherman. He has a particular interest in meteorology, but he's also a photographer. And I think perhaps you might see some elements of his interest in weather and landscape in his work. Without further ado.
So welcome, thank you for coming. And for my senior project, I chose to do fine art landscape photography. And why I chose fine art landscape photography is because I thought it would be the perfect combination of my three main interests, which are meteorology, which provides me with dramatic light and atmospheric conditions for my photographs, and geology, which provides me with the landscapes to photograph, and technology, which also provides me with photo editing software, which I'm able to manipulate my photos with after I take them. So, rewinding 3 years, I first got my camera, which is this one, and I still use it today. It's a great camera, and when I got it, I didn't really know what type of photography best suited me. I was just kind of playing around with all different types, messing with the different lenses I had, and just kind of capturing anything I thought was really beautiful. Again, I'll say I wasn't focusing on one type of photography. So I did a little bit of macro, which is optics up close, flowers, droplets on a piece of grass. I shot some portraiture, usually of annoyed classmates. Thank you guys for letting me take pictures of it. And I did a little bit of nature photography, but I was just kind of shooting little things out and about. Nothing really grand landscapes. But I mean, I did a few, but I wasn't really passionate about actual landscape photography. So, again, I couldn't decide what type of photography I wanted to continue in. But I knew I loved photography in general. But once I took this photograph, on July 29th, 2014, up at my grandfather's, on my grandfather's land up in Idaho, I took it, shared it with people up there, shared it with a few people on social media, and I actually got a lot of praise for it. People told me they really liked it, and I liked it at the time. And so it kind of gave me a sense of gratification and kind of told me like, okay, I did something people like and something I like as well, so why not do more of it? And so looking back at my photos now after I took this one, I can really see a turn in the landscape direction. And also kind of nature and that like sector of photography. So after I took this, I was really interested in landscape photography in general, so I started to research different techniques of how to capture different phenomena, and I was just playing around with my camera, seeing what it could capture. So, I started trying to capture star trails, which is setting up at night, and then letting the shutter be open for a very long time to capture the streaks and the trails, the streaks of the stars, and also some light trails down here, cars passing by. And I also started to try to learn the different pieces of equipment I had, such as this filter called the graduated neutral density filter. And it sounds pretty kind of complicated, but it really isn't. It's just a piece of glass that goes in the front of the camera that is tinted from a darker shade to completely translucent at the bottom, and lets you take photographs like this in one frame where you have correctly exposed sky, or the highlights have a lot of detail in them, and a correctly exposed foreground for the shadows. So after just playing with my camera for a while and taking pictures of these sort of things, I was really interested in photography, so I wanted to go out away from Pennsylvania and go to some more grand locations. So I started taking workshops. I took one in North Carolina where we captured fall foliage and waterfalls with a man named Dave Allen. I took a workshop in it was New Mexico with a photographer named Glenn Randall, who captures a lot of Southwest compositions as well as Milky Way shots. And I also, this past summer, went to Iceland with National Geographic. I was chosen to go there with them. So that was an amazing opportunity for me to capture some shots for my senior project. So I kind of narrowed down my 3 favorite places to shoot. One obviously being Iceland. It's just incredible there. The compositions I was able to capture unlike anything else. And the Southwest, where I'm originally from, provided me with some awesome light and compositions, as well as the Pacific Northwest, which has a lot of waterfalls and really green scenery. So, after capturing all these pictures in these different places, senior project sign-ups came around about a year ago, and I knew I wanted to do one, so I kind of thought to myself, all right, what am I passionate about, and what do I want to share with other people, the things I do outside of school. And so I chose landscape photography because I was very passionate about it. And for that, I had to set some goals for my senior project. One being to study what makes, I had to refine my techniques, first of all. I had to find my style in photography and landscape photography. And also, I needed to, I wanted to create print-worthy photos like these up here. And I also wanted to start a website to kind of showcase my work to a larger audience. So to fulfill those goals, I needed to first go out into the field and look for compositions that were meaningful to me and what I thought would be meaningful to the viewers of my images. And that meant usually getting up really early, capturing capturing photos during sunrise, as well as during sunset. And those are the 2 times of the day I usually go out and shoot and find compositions. And I also need to include interesting subjects within them that a large audience could relate to, so that, to make them more interesting. I also needed to learn the equipment that I had. So this is the equipment I use. I use a powerful computer, which has a really high definition screen, which I'm able to see all the little details of my pictures in, and is able to run the software that I use, Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop, to manipulate my photos. And Photoshop these days gets bad-mouthed a lot, it seems, but I'm here to kind of show you the positive side of it, hopefully. I also use an external hard drive to store my photos on so they don't take up too much space on my computer. And this new Wacom tablet that I got recently, which allows me to do very fine edits within my photos. It's almost like painting in them. It's really neat. And lastly, I needed to find inspiration. And that's pretty easy these days. Come on Instagram, Facebook, any social network really, and you've got pictures. And I kind of looked around for a while and kind of narrowed down my inspiration to 3 favorite photographers. The names Michael Shainbloom took these 2 shots, Ted Gore with this shot up here in the top right, and Ted Jordan shot in the bottom right. Also this guy, Daniel Cordon, he does some amazing stuff in places like Siberia and other places around the world that are not usually photographed or seen. And Ted Gore, he recently won the Landscape Photographer of the Year last year. So these 3 are my main inspirations. So after I felt I had a good grasp on my techniques, practiced using all my materials, and I went out a lot, shot a lot, learned through shooting a lot, and found inspiration, kind of looked up their techniques that they use and what kind of techniques will give you a certain type of feel to an image. And then needed to go back and process all the photos I had taken over the past few years in places like Iceland and the other locations I mentioned. So I'd now like to show you kind of the process I go through to edit my images. So here we have a photo that's straight out of the camera. No editing has been done to it. It's called a raw photo. It's very underexposed, and I did that in the camera to preserve the highlights within the photo, like down here in the water, up here in the sky. And that's done because it's very easy to lose details within the bright areas of an image. It's much easier to bring up the highlights in post-processing, shadows in post-processing once you have it on the computer. And the image also has little to no color, and I just think it's not interesting. I mean, what do you guys think? It's very dull. So I put it through my processing and using Lightroom and Photoshop. So I want to show you a time lapse of me editing this photo now. It's about 2 hours worth of editing condensed into about 2 minutes, or about an hour and a half. So. Some general edits done to it, detailed, pretty general. It's now correctly exposed. The details in the shadow areas are brought back up, and you can now see them. The colors of the scene, as I see it, have been brought back when I was there, as I saw it. And it's just a lot more interesting, and I think pulls the viewer in. So this is one way I'm able to edit an image, or one style, I should say. Another style is what I like to call light painting, and this is where you have nice highlights that, with the camera captures, looks really dull, and it doesn't have that glow effect that you see in person during sunset. So with this photo, I'll show you kind of how I'm able to bring that glow back. Again, we have the raw photo. It's underexposed, again, to preserve the details and highlights. Lacks the feeling that I wanted to have and that I've had in the moment. And like I just say, pretty much doesn't illustrate my vision. that I have. So now I'll show you how I'm able to use the light painting to kind of breathe new light into the photo. Again, is the process photo. The light has been painted back, and it now fulfills the vision I had for the photograph when I was taking it. So this is the process that photos I feel are worth processing go through, and to pick those out, I may have to go through the pictures I took in a day many times to kind of narrow down which one I think will work best for this type of editing. And usually that ends up being quite a few pictures, and I don't mind because I enjoy doing this. So this process is not all that different from what used to go on with film images, except the processing is now done on a computer, and the dark room is now usually my bedroom. So I'll now show you a couple of images, a few more examples of before and afters. Here's another straight out of the camera, very dark in the shadows, bright in the highlights, not much color. So I used my post-processing techniques, brought the color back in, brought some color into the highlights to just give it a little bit of a feel. Here's another example. With this one, it's correctly exposed. The shadows aren't that dark, and the highlights aren't really blown out at all or overexposed. So, but I thought it just didn't have that sunset glow that I saw in person, and it's just not that interesting. It's kind of blue and green, and kind of just a nasty color, I thought. So I used that light painting technique that I just showed you guys to paint the sunset back into it. And I also brought up the exposure down here in the shadows to kind of, show you the detail in the water. And you may notice the moon is actually bigger in the post-processed image. This is because when I took the photo, I was using a lens that is actually wider than our field of view. So if you were there in person, it would actually look a little bit more like that. So it just kind of looks like an awkward little dot here in this straight up camera shot. So I enlarged it in Photoshop to make it hopefully a little bit more realistic. The third way I'm able to edit my images is actually layering two on top of each other and taking the foreground out of this image to put with the Milky Way from this image, and then I'm able to get a quickly exposed foreground as well as Milky Way. And I did that, and then I also used my little Wacom tablet and painted back in colors that actually are here in the Milky Milky Way shot, but are just very subdued, and I felt needed some boosting. So, now you know how I process my images and the techniques I use. And so I'd now like to show you a collection of images I felt met my senior project goals. That includes these ones up on the stage. And I thought they were sure worthy. So enjoy. So, I've also created, as part of my senior project goals, I've also created a website to show my pictures on. And it includes these pictures up here, as well as some other pictures from cityscapes and waterfalls that didn't include my presentation. So if you visit deutsch.com, you'll be able to check it out whenever you want. I'll be updating it with new pictures as I take them. So with that, I'd like to say my thank yous. First of all, I'd like to thank Liz Cuesta, my senior project advisor. Unfortunately, she has not been able to be here tonight, but I owe her a lot of thanks because she has helped me throughout my project and as well as throughout my years at Kimberton, just being there whenever I need her and keeping it real. I'd also like to give a special thank you to Nancy McLean, my senior project mentor. She has put in countless hours of just help and support and time, hours and time, to help me craft this presentation, as well as to become a better person throughout my years at Kimberton. So I don't know how to thank her enough. She's been a great help. And she's also a great photographer herself. So, my parents for always supporting my passions and also for driving me to many of these places to take pictures. So thank you guys. And I'd also like to thank my class for letting me take pictures of you guys when you probably didn't want me to. And as you can see, it wasn't all for nothing. And also I want to thank all of you guys for coming tonight. And listening to me talk about my life and my photography. Thank you. Okay, questions? Yes.
I just need clarity on one thing. How much are you adding color and light, and how much are you manipulating the raw photographs?
It depends. Some I need to manipulate a little bit more than others because, one thing or the other, I didn't capture it exactly correctly, or I just wanted to have a feel than what is captured. Because when I'm capturing a photo, I'm capturing all of, a raw photo captures all of the data that is let through the lens and into the camera and onto the sensor. And that usually means it's not boosted in any way within the camera. So when you're taking a picture with your iPhone, for example, it's going to automatically boost the colors and contrast within it. And it's kind of doing what I do a little bit. But when you take a picture. So I'm adding my own edits into it instead of letting the camera do its own. Sure. This was in Iceland with National Geographic, the panorama. This one right here was taken at a place called Moclips, Washington State, on a beach. The red one, the waterfall image, was taken, that was in North Carolina during my workshop with Dave Allen. One with me with my arms out like this. That's a self-portrait taken in Iceland, actually the same location as this panorama. And the second to the last image was taken at the Grand Canyon, and the last one was in New Mexico, a place called Los Alamos, I believe. A place where there were very dark skies, something we're unable to see here.
When you look at the differences in National Geographic now, how much of this kind of photo editing would those photographs have?
National Geographic, so why I call it fine art landscape photography, the fine art part, meaning the amount of post-processing I put into them and kind of thought behind the emotions that I want to portray. National Geographic their photographs are a little bit more documentary style. So they're kind of they're trying to capture that moment, and they're just kind of, I don't know, they're not putting a ton of time into processing. I mean, I don't think they are, but that's the difference. Fine art versus documentary.
You said that your picture took 2 hours to edit. Do you spend that much time on all of them?
That also depends on the photograph. I'll usually spend 45 minutes to an hour at least on a photo. One that I thought turned out well in camera, the composition and everything, I'll probably spend a little bit longer to try to make a share-worthy image in one of the products.
So how much change and manipulation do you think is too much? Like you're a real person or not?
Yeah.
And she's the lighting.
Yeah.
At what point is it too much so it's not real?
That is a very good question. And that's something I've had to kind of try to balance throughout my entire senior project. In the beginning, I was kind of, well, I think now I was doing a little bit too much of manipulation. I was kind of bringing in colors that were way out of this world. But I've kind of, I think, refined my techniques. As I said, that was one of my goals. And my style as well is something I think borders on surrealism, but also keeps a little bit of, reality to it.
So the colors that you got, they were all there originally and you were enhancing them, or is it added? Something you actually saw?
Yes, they are all there, but what I do when I add colors and boost them is I'll actually go in with a color picker and I'll find a pixel that has the color in that area that I want to enhance, and I'll pick that exact color so I'm able to really finely brush in and enhance that area of the image to give it the look and feel that I want. Yes.
I saw you had done one black and white piece. Is that something you played around with at all besides that one, or do you tend to gravitate more towards the color?
That's a good question. That's really the one photograph that I like in black and white. I've tried some others in black and white, but I don't think they have the same depth, to be honest, than the other ones. But that's the one I do like. I think it lends itself well to the black and white photo. Yes.
You say fine art, do you sell your prints?
Yes, I do. These images are for sale, these prints, and soon on my website, that you saw, I'll have a link where you can go and order prints for yourself if you'd like. And if you're here tomorrow for the kind of, the after party, come for the presentations at church, stay for the after party, because we'll all be displaying our images, and you'll be able to take a closer look at them. Make sure you're here. What?
Sorry, price.
Ooh. Yeah, come tomorrow if you want. That's the catch. Yes.
Once you found your picture, you've got it all exactly how you want it. Where did you find a printer to do such a fantastic job of keeping your picture?
Very good question. I've looked all over the internet for the best printing service. I don't do these prints myself. This is through a service called Duraplaque. So actually, I visited I was at Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, where one of the pictures was from in my slideshow. I visited a gallery of a man named Eric Stenslin, and he displayed all of his photographs in this style. It's printed like in a very minimalistic way, very high quality, and straight off the wood, basically. So I think it presents the photos really well, and seeing them in person with his photographs definitely told me, I want to someday print my photos in this style as well.
site, will it be the same printer and will you get a fair cut of it, of your sale?
Well, yeah, I'll have it set up so that you will be able to, that's custom printing, so that's me contacting the company and, you know, you telling me what size you want, and then I give them the file and they'll print it, and then I'll put a markup what I think is fair for my work and the time that I put into it. And you'll eventually also be able to order just a general print, like canvas or, you know, postcards, whatever you want.